Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, and we're going to have a great night tonight. Author, researcher, experiencer, Dr. Christopher Macklin is going to join us to talk about everything from healing to ET contact, and we are going to have a great night with him coming up momentarily. Josh Rutledge will be here for the UFO report as the Wizard joins us in hour 3 with Swamp Dweller. And the best part about tonight, we have each and every one of you, including Kitty Caddywhack in the gold medal position, Race Fan with a silver, Amy with a bronze medal tonight, Adventures with Beth, how are you tonight? Roswell Alien, Chris 1420 or 14210, how are you? Mel WD40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show because you can't talk aliens and consciousness without being lubed up. So thank you, Mel, for doing that for us. Robert Lamoth and Necessary Dialogue, nice to have you here. Race Fan, good to see you. Carolyn Dickinson, welcome to SOR Chat. And who else do we have here? And we have Thunderhead. Really appreciate you coming on in. Michael Morris, the attorney at large, thank you for joining us. Little Cam on YouTube tonight. We'll be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Do not interrupt his workout, though, because he's bench pressing 680 right now as we speak. Luscious Jules, good to see you as we continue on with our roll call. Forrest Louie, thanks for coming on in. Signs of Life and Mama Catherine. Mwah, I love you, Mama Catherine. I hope you are having just a wonderful, wonderful evening. Hopefully you got a nice hot cup of tea with you tonight. I hope so. Digger Dog, nice to have you here as we continue on with our roll call tonight. And scrolling on down, up next we have Operation Shutdown. Thomas Rock, how you doing? And Jerence Carter, nice to see you. Undead Jed, and number 58 in your program, starting at left wing tonight from Stockholm, Sweden, Lars Janssen. Kurt M., how are you? Algaray over on Twitch, 1,500 push-ups in 3.5 minutes. Yeah, his arms are jackhammers right now. Jackhammers. J. True Seeker, nice to have you here. Body Tech, good morning to you. Body Tech will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. Emperor Penguin, nice to have you here as we continue on with our roll call. Stargazer, good to have you here. I'm Hardcore over on X. Thank you for joining us. Walter Kochabinski, good to have you here. As we scroll on down next to say hello to East Coast Turnaround, listening in on X. Fast Hemi, nice to see you. Sirius Zerius, good to have you here. Welcome. And who else is here? Scrolling on down, we have Commonwealth Andrew. Good morning to you from London, England. Yeah, welcome here. And who else is here? Scrolling on down. Benno, you're early. Good to have you here, my friend. Lucky Gypsy on Twitch. How are you tonight? Nice to see you. And Delilah, nice to have you here. And who else? Mr. Pink, thanks for coming on in. We're going to get the radio side going, guys. Hold on. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We are about to go into ETs, paranormal, supernatural, consciousness. Dr. Christopher Macklin is our guest tonight on the show. We are in roll call on our YouTube side right now as we say hello to the unknown. How are you, my friend? Nice to have you here. And I want to remind all of our YouTube audience, the super chat is open. It is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. And you can also become a member of our YouTube channel. Just go get a membership. Do your thing. Do what you got to do. Bad cop, no donuts. How are you? Nice to see you. We got 29 seconds to go. Reminder to all of you that our store is open on our website, spacedoutradio.com. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you check it on out. It's going to be a great night for all of you. A great night for me. WM Arthur, how are you? Nice to see you. And yeah, I guess it's that time of the night where I ask all of you to throw those horns up. Let's rock.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Shush. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears towards the little cabin in the woods, where together, friends, oh, it's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out the Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We have an amazing show coming at you for tonight. Dr. Christopher Macklin is here. We're going to get into the paranormal, the supernatural, channeling, consciousness, spiritual healing, and much more in the next 2 hours. It's going to be absolutely jam-packed. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will join us to kick things off. We're going to follow that up with The Wizard. Yeah, the UFO report with Josh Rutledge. We'll get going right after that. So let's kick off tonight's show. Dr. Christopher Macklin is an internationally known spiritual practitioner and paranormal experiencer whose work bridges UFO phenomena, multidimensional healing, and the study of non-physical intelligences. Drawing from years of personal encounters, intuitive development, and energy field research, Dr. Macklin has become a widely recognized figure in UFO and metaphysical communities. His talks explore everything from extraterrestrial contact and interdimensional interference to spiritual protection, frequency manipulation, and the unforeseen forces that shape human consciousness. He is known for bringing clarity, grounded explanations, and practical techniques to subjects often dismissed or misunderstood. Today, Dr. Macklin continues to share his insights through global workshops, media appearances, and his extensive outreach in the paranormal and experiencer world. His website, if you want to check it on out, go to globalenlightenmentproject.com, globalenlightenmentproject.com, and let's bring him on in here because I'm looking forward to this one. I hope you are too. Dr. Christopher Macklin, welcome to Spaced Out Radio for the first time. How are you?
Oh, thanks for having me, Dave. Bless your heart. It's wonderful to be here and wonderful to see everyone on the chat as well. Thanks for all joining us. Bless your heart.
How did this journey begin for you?
Well, it was interesting. It all started after I was born. I was born 2 days later, ended up with 8 strokes. I was always targeted. When I was 4, I burnt my back really badly. And when I got back home, because I was in hospital for 2 years, of course, and when I got back home, I was in my bedroom one night, and there was a big reptilian in the corner. What the heck is that? And I could see it. And Dad, I didn't know it was a reptile. There's a dinosaur thing in the corner, and he comes running in. Where? And it's there. Where? Oh, he can't see it. That's not good. So anyway, he said, you're just having a bad dream. The thing was standing there, and I could tell it was real because I could, even at that age, I could feel that negative energy in your chest, like, wow, this is not good. It was actually an anarchy being. It was about 10'7" tall. So anyway, went out, and from somewhere, I don't know where it came from, I just said, get out of my bedroom. It went. Oh, that worked. And then, contact still, I saw different things in the sky like craft. I can see through the veil, which can be a blessing or a curse, especially if you go out for dinner and people have got an attachment and you walk into a restaurant, oh gosh, these attachments. But I saw craft in the sky and where, okay, let's not talk about it. So I go through life severely dyslexic. I've written 6 books. I'm going to tell you I've wrote them later, but not good. But the books are good. It's just I don't have the gift of writing at all or spelling. I can't spell for toffee. But went through school, left school. Then I was sponsored to do a degree in electronic systems, and then I did a master's in software and control systems, and then I did some PhDs later on, really focusing on interdimensional and metaphysics and stuff like that. But then I worked in industry for a while, so I could see these things, but I was really focusing on I made lots of money, and sometimes I used to look around and think, what the heck is going on? There's got to be something better than this, and plenty of money, but not fulfilling. And so I think it was the God realm, 2007, I went completely bankrupt, and I had this good idea. Oh, let's build 176 apartments in Manchester. Oh dear. That's this kind of Trump type project, or somebody who's used to building towers. Anyway, it went really south. So I was kind of living out of a car, lost everything. And that's when I really focused on my divine gifts. And I've never been so happy. And I went around all over the world, went to India and everything else, doing healings and perfecting it, meditating all day. And when I was in Belize, I went on at the top of the Mayan tower, Mayan temple called Cha'antovich, which is just outside San Ignacio. Very powerful temple. And I was sitting there and it really blew me open, and things started changing after that. And after that, I could get visions, and, they showed me my past lives, and, oh, okay, I'm meant to be doing this now. And so I really focused on. And I learned from that, that I was born as a Melchizedek being. I've got 84% Melchizedek DNA. And it was interesting because after that, I started talking to my whole family, the Melchizedek beings. And what was interesting is you talk to them, you meditate, and nothing happens. And then next day, nothing happens. Next day, nothing happens. And I thought, okay. And after about 3 or 4 weeks, I said, look, I'm not going anywhere. I want you to connect with me because I want to learn how the healing and refine it, how the gifts are. And so it took me about 2 months, and suddenly everything broke open, and I got downloads and everything else. And I moved to America then in 2010. And we opened an office. Build it, they'll come, they said. Nothing's happened. So 3 months went by. Where are they? And I remember saying to them, because they're beings, where are they? They said it's within. Get out there. Oh, okay. So I went around conferences and expos, Conscious Life Expo, New Life Expo, all over America, and it just took off from there. We work on a lot of people now. I mean, I love what I do, but I did specialize in nanotechnology, which is a real issue at the moment. So I was basically taught by a world-leading industrial toxicologist, which is Dr. Hildy. And she taught me how these little particles, Morgellons particles, now they're in the what's, and how they work, what they're bound with, all the, instruments they're bound with. And I kept working through, and I was working on this, but I couldn't get rid of all of it because there's an interdimensional aspect to some of these particles. If you give them energy, they switch out of this dimension to the fourth dimension, and then they come back later. So I was having some success, and then I developed a protocol to strip it all out of the body, but it took me a while, and we've been running this protocol since 2019, and it's basically quantum timeline splitting, and then resetting your DNA back to the blueprint it should be in the Akashic records. But what was interesting last year, I was targeted again, and they use the low frequency. I know you've heard of this, but low frequency energy weapons, they can target at a specific place, and they sent it to my aortic valve, and 2 cusps of the valve melted, and I got really sick really quick. And so what happened is that I was talking to them because do we have time to heal this? Because I was getting really sick and I felt my life force go. And they said, no, you need an operation. Now, I found out, from the scan, my heart's the size of a volleyball. And they go, oh my God. And the valve is bigger than the ones I got off the shelf. So he goes, you better just wait a bit. So I waited for about 2 or 3 weeks. And he said, yeah, we've figured it out. Come and see me. So the surgeon saw me, top surgeon in Springfield. And they had to do open heart surgery, to fix that. So this is the 290th time they're trying to take me out. It's insane, but it's what it is. And here we are today. I'm still alive, still doing it. Really excited. I love doing healing for people, because my motto basically is that, I'm not here as someone's guru. I don't believe in gurus. You are your own guru, but sometimes you need a bit of help to actually get back to that place and release the trauma, work on your body, what the trauma has caused, whether it be cancer or right. Issues with your intestines. I absolutely love what I do. It's amazing.
When you first started realizing that you were having these extraordinary experiences, how long did it take you to realize that it wasn't just imagination, that it was something going on?
It was actually straight away because I could feel the energy. The first encounter was the Anunnaki. It was standing in the corner of the room, but I felt this really dark feeling in my chest that, wow, this doesn't feel good, and I don't know where it came from because I was 4. Who knows how to get rid of a reptilian that's 10'7" tall at the age of 4? It just came like, get it out of my room, and it went. So that, wow, and I learned from that a lot. And I've had encounters. Quite a number of encounters, but one of the interesting ones is I went to Stardust Ranch. I don't even know Stardust Ranch in Arizona because he was having some problems because the Greys were coming through portals. It's a horse. It's a sanctuary for horses. So what would happen is, the Greys would come down, and next morning he would get up, and one of his horses had been like 3/4 eaten, by the Greys, and he was so upset by it. And he said, can you do anything about it? I said, yeah, but I'll have to actually come down. So I went down and basically I spent the weekend there, and I was trying to get this portal open, and I spent ages looking at codes, and eventually on the Sunday, there's a sonic boom. The portal opened, and then these craft appeared. I said, what are you guys doing here? Telepathy. They said, we're basically here to make sure you don't do stupid stuff, Okay, like walk through the portal. Don't walk through the portal. But normally, the guy who owned the ranch, he said that the portal normally opens at ground level, but it was actually open about 300 feet up. And I was watching craft and things coming out this portal. Anyway, it took me about 40 minutes. These craft were there. They just hovered around. Military came out. Helicopters were circling them, and then. Anyway, I managed to shut it down permanently. So I worked on that, got them accused of being shut it down permanently. The craft went, and that was the end of the endeavors on that ranch. The Greys disappeared.
The fact that you have had ET contact throughout your life, was there any patterns prior to you as a child? Were your parents in having these experiences, your grandparents, or did it start with you?
My grandmother was very gifted, and it was interesting, and she knew a lot of stuff. She used to see things, and I never really knew her that well because she lived elsewhere. She used to come for Christmas and things like that. But at that age, I was quite young, I mean, I was young like a couple of years ago, or not, but I never really got a chance. And I wish I did, because she had a lot of experiences, and she even told my brother one day, just be careful, and he almost got run over on his bike, in this particular day. So yeah, she was pretty gifted. My mother was always sick, so and my father was just checked out. So he berated me most of my life, which is actually an amazing thing, because it's made me stand on my own 2 feet, take your power back, and that's what I always encourage people to take your power back. And you can really do some amazing things. I remember having. I'm just going to share this with you if it's okay. I remember having a reading. And it was I think it was 2000 or 2001, still married in England. I lived in Chester, near Manchester. And I went to this lady. She was actually near Liverpool, a place called Birkenhead, a little bit rough. So, I turned up and walked in and sat down. And she goes, right, we'll start the reading. She goes, right. Oh, thank you. Writing these things down. Oh, thank you. This was like 2000. She goes, well, you're going to get remarried. I'm like, okay. You're going to move to America. Okay. And you're going to work for God and live off donations, doing healings. What? So I didn't say that. I said, oh, okay. Well, thanks, thanks for the reading. And here we are, That's exactly what happened. So that was amazing.
The journey that you were on, nobody ever prepares for it. You kind of allowed yourself to be your own guru and take your own path. Why did you, or how did you get that freedom that many of us don't have?
Well, when I went bankrupt, I mean, I was in millions of, you can imagine, I bought this land, I was going to build these 176 apartments. And the bank phoned up and they said, well, these apartments that are worth like £200,000 are now worth 90. And this was 2007. You got 14 days to pay the money back. And I was going, oh. And I said to the bank manager, well, I've got £10. Will that help? And he didn't seem to see the funny side. So they took us bankrupt within about 2 months. I was completely bankrupt, personally. And so the marriage split up, everything. And so I was on my own. And my father bought me a Volkswagen Polo, and I'm 6'5", and that was my almost living quarters for a few years. I mean, I used to stay with people, and we had different things happen where I was sponsored, and now and again, someone would get me a hotel room for healing. But I lived out that car for a bit. It was really tough. But what it did is it actually released me from the enslavery of the monetary system, because I had no money, but I didn't have any debt either, okay, and things always used to line up. But one of the key points that turned it around is I was in Worthing, on the south coast of England one day, and I was sitting in the car. I had no money for food or anything else, and I was kind of in tears, thinking no one cares. So I phoned my brother, and I thought, I'll try my brother. So I phoned him, and he worked for Royal Dutch Shell, and he was in a meeting. He said, I'll phone you back in a couple of hours. 2 months later, nothing happened. So, and that really taught me that the off-planet beings, your soul starseed family, to me, is the most important thing now down here, because a lot of us, if you're a starseed person, you've been born into a family which is probably kind of fractured, and it's there to teach you, not to be, if they cuss it, oh, pop it, you're just amazing, everything else, you wouldn't get the lessons. But if you're berated and it's really tough, and you really do take your power back, and it makes you really strong. And I think that's really important. So yeah. But I realized that the Melchizedek beings, the beings off planet which I can communicate with, they actually are there 24/7, 7 days a week. If I need one of them, 2 in the morning, they're there, But last year was interesting, because when I had this open heart surgery, Mother Mary came to me. She's one of the Melchizedek beings, and she actually appeared before us. It was about 1 in the morning-ish. And she said, do you want to stay? Or do you want to go? And I said, well, that's a stupid question. So I'm staying, And she goes, okay, I was only asking. And they zipped off, and yeah, here we are. But another incredible thing that happened in the hospital is that when I first went in with heart failure, they pumped us full of Lasix and tried to get, because my belly was blown up like a balloon full of water. So they gave us Lasix, everything else. And then the kidney doctor comes, he goes, your kidneys have failed. We're going to have to put you on dialysis. And, okay, so he left. I said, right, guys, I need your help. I'm not staying here on dialysis for the rest of my life. We're done with that. So get the stuff fixed and we'll be great. Next morning, those kidneys were perfect. The kidney doc comes in, wow, I don't know what's happened, but your kidneys are perfect. You don't need me anymore. And I said, well, no disrespect to you, but I'm glad. So,
Right.
Yeah, miracles have happened, right through my life. It's been incredible journey.
A lot of people who don't have contact experience would wonder, what is it like? Why were you chosen? How come this hasn't happened to me? They have a plethora of questions that they may want to know, simplistic to probably someone of your experience, but very important to them. How do you describe yourself to people when they ask those questions?
I think some people have got certain things to do on this planet. I've got a big project to do on this planet, and it's essential. I think it's essential to do it. And what it is it's a pyramid project where I've got to be very careful how I put it, because I don't want to give the cover away. But it's going to cost a ton of money, way beyond my things. But I've got big banking people who are arranging all that. I don't get involved with the money side. We put a business plan together. And it's 100,000 acres. It's going to be pyramids, which the one of them is going to be 999 feet tall, properly built, 660.68 feet tall, and 333.33 feet tall. And they chose me to do the project because they're kind of saying it's essential for the planet, because it'll be in a golden curve, but the biggest pyramid will be on top of a ley line. And so it's going to power and boost the ley lines and blow out all the satanic symbology and everything else in the ley lines. And so I was chosen for that before I even got here. But of course, the dark side, the Anunnaki, Draconians, Luciferians, and all these guys, they know who's coming. So as soon as you're born, that's why I had 8 strokes 2 days after, the satanic ones. I was just looking at the chat. The satanic ones know exactly who you are and why you're here, and they're going to do their absolute best to shut you down. And it's interesting because once you get your vibration up, once you take your power back, then they go after people around you, so family, friends, to try and set you off balance. It's really interesting.
In other words, as we got about 90 seconds to go, this is a journey that you've really enjoyed.
I haven't enjoyed it all. It's been a challenge, but I love being here. This planet to me is absolutely nuts, and who would choose this planet? But we've chosen it for a reason, because it's helping to humanity, and that's what I'm all about. Helping people. I want to see humanity turn around, and I want to see people take their power back and be able to do their spiritual gifts and get as much joy as I do out of doing your gifts, because the gift is it. It's your divine. It's your divine path. And if you get on your gifts and you do focusing on your gifts, that's just incredible,
I think it is incredible too, because as an experiencer myself, and I don't use that term lightly, it changes your dynamic. It changes your entire way of how you think of the world, how you think of people, how you think of, things that people take seriously that are really mundane now. Like I was a sportsaholic, now I don't even care to watch a game. It takes takes me a lot of strength to do that. But it's amazing how your priorities change once you start to develop your etherical sense. And on that note, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. Dr. Christopher Macklin from the Global Enlightenment Project. GlobalEnlightenmentProject.com is the website. When we return, we are going to get into some of his ET experiences. They started at 4. Where are they now? And more importantly, where are they coming from? This is Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. We'll be right back after the break. All right, we are clear. Good start there, Doc. Good start.
Oh, bless you. That's great. Absolutely. Bless your heart.
Jasmine Taz, how you doing? Yeah, I know my entire paradigm shifted after I started my experiences.
Oh, it does, and I think it's very difficult to then operate in this world. I'm kind of reclusive. We've got here, this is the house we built, which we moved into last year, just before I had the intervention. And that was because, I was talking about a certain organization, beginning with the Luciferian symbology and everything else. And they targeted us, but we moved in, it's got 40 acres and, the house is in the middle of the woods. And I just love it here. It's absolutely incredible.
The forest brings peace and calm.
It also brings fey beings and it brings Bigfoot as well.
Oh, yeah, I know.
We've had one here. So.
Let me just say hello to Dave Tiger Williams. He'll drop the gloves for you. Fap Nuts. That's the cheap Temu version of Wilford Brimley's Grape Nuts. Right there. Fap Nuts. Temu version. And Sweet Donna C., how are you? Attorney to the EBEs, good to have you back. And we are caught up. All right. Warden Dragon, how are you? All right. And where are we here? We are good. Wilford Brimley had a great mustache. Probably the best mustache in Hollywood ever. Best artist mustache, Salvador Dali. We like a good mustache around here, Chris.
Yeah, I haven't got one. I shave one. I'll have to grow one next time.
Going, man.
Bless your heart.
Oob to Joe's Maine. You've got Wilford Brimley's diabetes. We like to have fun around here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Burt Reynolds had a great mustache too. Not as good as Wilford Brimley, though. Boise, how you doing? Eva, nice to see you. Love watching all of you roll on in. Good morning, Skip to my Lou in Denmark. Sam Elliott is a fantastic mustache. That's right. I'd put him in the Wilford Brimley category. Sam Elliott has the best combination of voice and mustache. That is true. We got about 90 seconds, my friend.
Okay, brilliant. Bless your heart.
All right. We're going to get ready for the second half hour. Super Chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. You can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store because you will get stuff still for Christmas. And, if you want your family to look good, remember, we do not have ugly swag. Nothing's ugly there, I promise you, because nobody likes ugly clothing. Neither do I, so I refuse to have it. So go check it on out. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, please do. We see a lot of new faces in here tonight as well. Give us a thumbs up. It helps with the algorithms. And what else can I mention to you guys? I don't know. I'm like running out of time here. Yeah. I've done my braining for the day. How about that? We're coming back in 3 seconds. Here we go with the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for tuning us in. If you like the stories of the weird and strange, let us take you on a journey tonight with Dr. Christopher Macklin, who will join us momentarily. But first, want to remind all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, our archives are always free on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Dr. Christopher Macklin is here. His website, globalenlightenmentproject.com. You want to check it on out. He's an author. He's a researcher. He's a healing practitioner and an experiencer of the unknown. So we're going to bring him on in. Dr. Macklin, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio.
Oh, thanks for having me here. Bless you, Dave. It's wonderful to be here.
You have a number of experiences with UFOs, alien contact, channeling, the paranormal, supernatural. Very, very few people can be multi-experiencers. Okay. I don't think there's as many as we think there are. I am one. I will tell you that. I've seen and interacted with Sasquatch. I've had paranormal experiences. I've had UFO and alien experiences as well. I'm still 14 years later. Well, it'll be 14 years exactly in a couple of days, still trying to figure out the why me question, because I lived a happily boring life prior to this. And I enjoyed that happily boring life. For you, when you look at yourself as a multiple experiencer, a lot of people will look at you, and they do to me, and say, nobody's ever experienced all of that. This guy's got to be full of it. How do you take your critics when it comes to that?
Well, they think sometimes they think, oh, that sounds a bit conspiracy like that. Okay, whatever. And some people, you just can't explain to them. I mean, that's why I'm very selective who I have around me in my own realm. It's like with here. One night we were by the fire. There's about 4 or 5 people there, and there's literally about a fey being so big, maybe 3 inches, and it flew. We were at the fire pit just having a beer, and it just flew. It was bright neon green. You couldn't miss it. And it was just flying. This fey being, and just went into the woods. And wow, that's amazing. And, we have seen Sasquatch here. I haven't had an interaction with them, which is interesting, because I would have thought by now they would come. But because I can see through the veil, we have a lot of Native Americans wandering around the house, and but they're in a different dimension. But, I can see them. One morning I was sitting on my porch, and I was looking through the veil, and there's a guy there with a horse, and he just looked back at me, and, like, oh, you can see me, okay. And then he just got on his horse, put his hat on, and rode away. So there's quite a bit of activity. I love it here. I think it's amazing, and the energy is really good as well.
Tell me about your encounters with Sasquatch.
I only saw it. It was at a distance, but you could tell. It was a big being. And it just wandered into the woods, and we couldn't find it later. I don't know where it went. I mean, we've got 40 acres, so it's quite a lot of acreage. And, it's amazing. But the fey beings, I've seen greys around. I haven't been close to them, but I've encountered them because I can remote view. And one day a lady, and I've had this quite a lot, people in the house, they get this smell of like gone off drain, and these beings don't wash. They smell really bad. I always tell them, you're going to come into my house, for heaven's sake, have a shower, because. So what was happening is this lady in a hallway could smell like this gone off drain. She said, I've had the plumber out. I don't know what it is. So I had a look. I said, there's a portal there. These greys are coming through a portal. The portal's open. So because of the vibration, you're going to smell that stench that, you smell with the greys. And so what I did is shut down the portal. She tried everything for like 6 months. She can't get rid of it. I said, I'll get rid of it. We shut the portal down, removed it. And then the greys weren't there, and of course, and the smell went completely away. And that's happened with quite a few people, probably, I don't know, 150, 200 clients over the last 15 years. So, but in 2017, they were ordered off the planet, which is really interesting. And, I was actually at the meeting. When you go to a lot of these meetings, they take your soul, but they don't take you. And at that time, it was like an emergency meeting. So I because your soul's not in your body, you're basically in a coma, because there's no soul there. It's on an umbilical cord gone elsewhere. So I was kind of collapsed by the bed. My wife goes, oh my God, he's had a stroke, something. And she goes, oh, hang on a minute. And then she asked, oh yeah, he's okay. He's at a Galactic Federation meeting. And there's 3 Melchizedek beings with a chair in it. And it was all about, what do we do with the greys? What's the difference between violation and education? And there's a very close, call, because people often say to me, look, these reptilians here, why are they violating us? It's not a violation, it's a classroom, because before you get here, my theory is, if God wants you to come down here and they offer volunteers, I think you go to the bar, you have a few beers, you feel pretty good, and they say, look, have a look at this screen and Mother Earth, what happens? Oh yeah, we're okay. And then you get down here, you think, oh my goodness, what was I thinking? But I think, we're volunteered, we came down here, and I think, it's important to realize that, and we're here to do something. So if you volunteered, if you're a starseed person, then, you're going to be very different. I mean, I have a lot of people, I've got no friends. Well, I'm not surprised, because, you're an empath. When I was younger, about 4 weeks ago, in my 20s, I'm supposed to laugh, but when I was in my 20s, if people talk behind my back, I used to take it so personally. I almost like throwing up, it's awful. God, how can you do that? Because you don't behave like the normal human race. And so, if you're empathic, if you like being alone, you detach from places, I think that's, you'll know you're a starseed, and you think differently than people. You don't talk behind their back. A lot of starseed people accuse you of being intense, because you just tell the truth. You tell it like it is. And of course, if people got trauma, they're going to react. And that's happening a lot with the healings I'm doing. I'm getting people say, well, I was out with 6 people and I just told this lady the truth. And she said, how dare you? I demanded an apology, because I can't apologize. It's the truth, And the lady was okay after a few weeks, but she was mortified, like, well, I was only telling her the truth, because we don't know anything but the truth. You know what I mean?
What is the truth when it comes to it all? Because, there's a lot of people out there, whether it's UFOs, aliens, disclosure, cryptids, whatever it may be, they're out there seeking the truth. Where's the proof? Where's the evidence? What is the truth? Where do we find that balance when everybody's truth to this seems to be different according to the phenomena?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's got a perspective, and of course, it's like I was talking to my father one day, and he said, yeah, I love something for BBC. I said, what's that, Dad? He goes, well, cows passing wind creates global warming. I said, so you're telling me cows farting are creating global warming? He goes, yeah. I said, where do you find that out? He goes, the BBC. Oh, okay. I said, but they've been farting for many years, like hundreds of years, and we've had no global warming issues. So why would it happen now? But, he was actually, and I said, well, I don't agree with it. He said, well, you should. I said, look, you're not wrong or right, and nor am I. You're right from your perspective from the BBC. I'm right because I know different. And so, I was trying to, explain to him that don't judge people for having a different opinion, but the truth, I think, comes from within. It's that, if you're watching something podcast or movie, something about truth, you've got to use your intuition, that first gut feeling. Is this nonsense or is it true? And only you have the barometer for your truth, in my opinion.
Do you find that in your own personal truth and your seeking of knowledge and enlightenment through this all, that there is an end purpose for it all?
I think there is. I think, I mean, what I see, this planet's been hijacked many times, by the Anunnaki, trying to see the human race. And you've had many different races, come down, Martian wars, we've had Syrian wars. And I think what's happening is that now it's time to really try and shift humanity to 5D. We tried it in Atlantis. It didn't work, because people weren't ready for it. And one of the problems, I think, is the monetary system. People are obsessed by money, and I don't care about money at all. It's just an instrument to try and survive, but, I don't care about stuff either. When I lost everything, I really lost that. It detached me from things, houses, cars, whatever, who cares? And I'm always very grateful just for a plate of food on the table. And I think, I live my life in gratitude, and I chuckle, wow, I've got a plate of food again, because I've been times 21 days without, 9 days without, whatever. And, you really appreciate when you've just got a plate of food. If you've got a house, you're doing amazing. If you've got a car, you're doing amazing as well. And we've got all that. So, to me, it starts with gratitude and surrender, always knowing God's got your back. Whatever you define God is, I define God as God, prime creator of all it is. I think it's a well-balanced masculine, feminine, description of whoever's behind this whole system, of which there's definitely something,
What have you what is something you have not experienced that you want to experience?
That's an interesting question, because I've experienced so much. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, I think I'm at a place where, the many times they've tried to take me out, I've been really sick, they've dusted me with bioweaponry, on the skin, because, they have solvents, that deliver it. They have binding agents that bind it to the cells. They have bacteria that's really, really bad. I really don't know. I mean, I'm really happy with what I've done in my life. The only thing is I look back and I sometimes think I've had 5 lifetimes in this lifetime. It's really crazy.
I think if I could experience anything, I as much as I don't want to see it, I want to face my fear with a dog, man. I just want I want to see one just so I can write it off and say, okay, been there, done that, never want to see it again.
Yeah, we're out of here. Absolutely.
Yep, don't worry, Dave's not coming back. They scare the living hell out of me, to be blunt. They do. They scare me to death. And I don't know how I would react if I saw one. I really do not know. And I'm fearful of that.
One of the things I think is really important is to have a level of faith. And, people talk about faith in God, but if you're a God being, it's the faith within yourself that you can manifest a new outcome. And, I've talked about this a little bit, and it's really interesting. Say, for example, if you've got a gun, someone's pointing at you, they're squeezing the trigger. It's my belief, I may be wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong, but it's my belief that you can either commit suicide, oh my God, I'm going to die, and you've just created that narrative and you've manifested your own death. Or you can turn around and say, you know what, you can't touch me, full stop, there is no doubt. And then what happened is, the universe will create a new reality. To me, manifestation's key, it really is. And keeping your thoughts really positive.
Tell us about your most memorable UFO sighting.
God, that's so many. I would say at the ranch, because those 3 turn up, they're only about half a mile away, but they didn't land. They just hovered there, And we actually took pictures, but sadly the guy passed away. I think it was a couple of years ago, and he had the camera, and I don't have any footage, so it's one of those things. But yeah, that was incredible. I've had other ones where they've flown over the house. I've had let's just think. I have remote viewed some, and they're helping us a lot at the moment. So there's a lot of craft in the sky, but they are cloaked, in energy. So you probably, unless you can see through the veil, you can't see them. So yeah, it's difficult to say. I mean, I had so many. It's amazing.
Have you ever had a UFO landing in front of you?
No. I've had UFOs flying. I've had them drop out that portal. I've had them fly over. When I was younger, I used to see them fly around, and but other people couldn't see them. And I think they're starting to show themselves in this dimension more now. They used to cloak themselves, and now they're not so much, which is interesting. But the craft that turned up for me were Actorium, because they're like guardians of the Melchizedek beings. There's 5 of us here. So if you go and do some kind of crazy stuff, they will appear and watch to make sure you don't do silly things, because you're meant to be here to do, the project. So they kind of protect us. So that was interesting.
And your ET contact continues today?
Yeah, I would say the last year, everything's quieting down a bit since that open heart surgery. And I'll tell you, it's probably the most crazy thing you'll ever go through if you ever had that done. But, I've healed it and everything else. But I think the last year I've just kind of been healing, because they cut your chest open. It's not really very pleasant. So I've been healing myself and just focusing on the clients. I haven't been out much, to be honest. And to be honest, Dave, nowadays, I don't want to go out very much, because I don't do well in crowds of people, and I think that's another sign of like starseed people, because you don't do well in crowds, and, you just want to basically keep away. So, so I just, I'm here, I do my healings by phone, by Zoom and everything else. So.
Have you ever had a healing from ETs?
Yeah. That was well, there's been a few times actually, but the last one was last year when they fixed my kidneys. And I mean, Melchizedek beings are from the ultimate dimension. So, ETs, there's like interdimensional ETs, and then there's this dimensional ETs. But I think, like, for example, the Anunnaki, they can switch from the 4th to 3rd dimension. They can shapeshift, they can do all sorts of things. So, but the good guys, the Palladians, I've had Palladians do things. I've had the Melchizedek beings do things. So, yeah, they actually, I can see them when they appear. But when I work with other people, I use the Melchizedek beings to do like psychic surgery. People cannot not actually see them, which is really interesting. So, yeah.
When the ETs contact you, do they give you a sign or a signal that they are coming?
Sometimes, well, it's interesting because there's like a universal law, the keys of Enoch, where they can't really show up unless you're ready to see them. Like if you're in bed at 1 o'clock in the morning, an ET. I mean, his mother Mary ET. Well, she's interdimensional being. She's from the ultimate dimension, so she came in and just talked to me. I could see through her, so she's energetic, but she talked very clearly to me. But I think other ETs, I don't think most of them can show themselves because the keys of Enoch, unless you're ready for it, unless you're ready not to get scared. Oh my God, what's this? And so they're very careful about not terrifying people, because most people would be scared to death. 1 o'clock in the morning, there's a big old, whatever it is, Lyran or Palladian, whatever, if they turned up in your bedroom, oh my God, and you'd freak out, and they're not allowed to do that. So they stay within the laws of the universe. So
I always look at it like they give people signals, little hints of when they are coming. Like for me, I've said it on the show before, when I was getting taken frequently, I would hear at least a day or two before Pink Floyd's Is There Anybody Out There?
That's interesting.
And a friend of mine, she sees blue butterflies, even in dead of winter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's why I always ask that question. I'm always very curious about it.
Actually, it's a good point. I had an interaction when someone died. He was my best friend in England. He passed away. He was actually walking in Scotland and fell down a mountain, passed away. And it was interesting because I drove out, and there was like quite a big tree, like a willow tree, and there was 16 doves there. And I thought, that's strange. I've never seen so many brilliant white doves there. And I thought, okay, so what does that mean? And then in the evening, I had, another being come to me saying, Roger's okay. He's on the other side. He's healing and he'll be moving on. So that was one where I did get, like a signal. It's really interesting. Yeah. I never thought about that.
3 minutes to go before we go to break. At the top of the hour, Dr. Christopher Macklin is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. When we return from the break, we're going to get into, you wanted to do a healing session with our audience and show them how to do it. How did you learn the healing aspect of everything?
Dave, one of the most important things I learned about this healing is that don't do other people's modalities, because, you've got a starseed family. Mine is because that being, say, Arcturian, Lemurian, Atlantean, Andromedan, Palladian, whatever you are, and that's where your soul's from. Yes, your body's got a mix of DNA. If you ever want to know where you're from, don't ask where am I from. It's too broad a word. Ask them, where is my soul from? Which faction is my soul from? So when I learned I was because that being, I was meditating something like 4 to 6 hours a day, understanding cause and effect of different illnesses, and I was testing things out and going around the world. I went all over Europe, Portugal, Germany, everywhere really, France. I went to India, went to Australia. I know a lady on here said she met me in Australia. If you want to put in the chat, I'd just love to know who you are, bless you. But she met me in person when I went to one of the conferences. But little by little, I learned it. And it's important, I think, to understand how your starseed beings work with you, to do healings. But, if you go to someone's other modality, that's their understanding of their, starseed family and downloads. So I think, to be honest, it's really important to teach yourself from scratch. Don't use other people's modalities. That's really important.
So how do you build your own strength for this, your own knowledge?
Well, you kind of get downloads, I remember one download one night. I woke up at 2 a.m. and I thought, oh my God, that's how leukemia works. They showed me in a dream, like, this is it, this is how it works. Show me how the poison can actually destroy your body. I said, wow, okay, so it's overload of toxins. And so it's funny because I got up about 3 o'clock. I went to the office and I phoned somebody in England who I knew, and I got them to check it and said, this is how it works. Is that true? Do you get the same thing? And they got a yes. And so I implemented that into the healing. But it was amazing. So you get downloads, you just know things. I've had so many downloads. I remember going to Hawaii and I was doing a conference there, and it was interesting because people were asking me a lot of things. And it was a complete channeling. And when I finished, I had a good friend of mine. I said, was that okay? Because I don't remember what I said. It was just a complete channel. They took over and, delivered the information to people. So, it was really, really interesting.
Do you enjoy it? Do you enjoy being able to go into that meditation and bring yourself into a healing vibration?
Oh, I love it. Yeah. To be honest, Dave, I could do some extraordinary things. I think when I was really right up there. The problem now is that I would deal with so many people that it does bring your vibration down when you dip your toe in the third dimensional world, because people are sick. You take on their emotions and things like that. So yeah.
Dr. Christopher Macklin, we have him for another hour on Spaced Out Radio. We're going to get into healing technique next.
This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
All right, Dr. Chris, we have just under 6 minutes. I'm going to put you in the green room. I'm going to disappear for a couple of minutes, and we'll take a quick break here, okay?
Okay, I'll be back in a minute. Bless your heart.
All right. Be right back, everybody. All right. Back. Let's bring Dr. Michael Ma back. Or Dr. Christopher Macklin, sorry. Back. Sorry about that.
Bless you.
Let's see. Ozzy Ange says she met you in Melbourne.
She did, yeah. I saw her, bless her. Yeah, Melbourne. God, that was a couple of years ago. Goodness.
Yes.
It takes forever to get there from America. But it was a great trip.
That is wonderful. What a great show so far. Hard to believe we're already an hour in.
Yeah, time's going so fast at the moment. It's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
This year's just flown by. I tend to find, like, you start work. I start work on Monday, and suddenly it's Wednesday. I get the day off Wednesday, and then work, Thursday, and then suddenly it's Friday afternoon and Saturday, and then suddenly it's Monday again. Time's jumping. It's not linear at all at the moment, so it's incredible.
We're coming back in 30 seconds. We want to say the super chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. If you're new here, do us a favor, hit subscribe, ring that bell. We're always here for you. And let's see, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store on our website. No ugly swag there. Nothing ugly. There's no complaints. It's all nice. Go check it out. Here we go. Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for kicking things off with us, joining us for some great commentary from our guest, Dr. Christopher Macklin. We'll get to him momentarily. But first, we want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Skandaroon. Skandaroon is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night, right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head on over to Dr. Christopher Macklin from the Global Enlightenment Project. His website, globalenlightenmentproject.com. You can check it on out. And we appreciate his experience, his knowledge coming on in here tonight. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Christopher Macklin. How are you?
Yeah, I'm wonderful. Bless your heart. Wonderful. Thanks for having me on, Dave. Bless you.
Oh, it's been great so far. You wanted to do a healing with our audience.
Yeah, I mean, I always talk about healing, and talk is cheap. And if everyone's up for a healing, I'll just do maybe 10 minutes. Is that okay, or 5 minutes?
That works for me. Let's do it.
Right. So don't forget, I always ask you to ground yourself, and I define God as God, Goddess, prime creator of all it is. But I use the word God because it's more simple. So if you want the healing, let's get you grounded. I want you to say, I am of God. I ground myself to the earth, and I accept this healing for my highest good. Right, I'm going to put you in a portal and bond it into Merkabah fields. If you don't want a Merkabah field, it's one of, that's a Merkabah. So I'm going to bond it into 27 Easter Merkabah fields. So let's just do that. So ultimate dimension, 8 portals around each person on the call and on all the social media platform, listening in now and in the future. Close it off with, dear God, come on, 27 Easter Merkabah fields around that person, with their sacred point in the center of those Merkabah fields, bonding the portals to the Merkabah fields, program and blueprint of their DNA and the keys of Enoch, so as not to allow anything except for the highest good to enter. So you're in a safe space because that beings can come through. So I'm going to remove, if anyone's got any entities out there, like, for example, Anunnaki Draconians, they actually sit in the abdomen. They hang on the shoulders and neck always tight. You can't see them, of course, they're the 4th dimension. They tap in the lower back, damage the L4, L5 disc, and they also send you negative thoughts. So if you get negative thoughts, always look out for, is it a you thought? Because they're not allowed to say I. So if you're getting, oh, you are, you go to work, oh, the boss doesn't like you. It's not your thoughts, that it's manipulated. So I'm going to remove those. So you're going to feel a drawing from your torso. They're going to escort you out of the body in your sacral space. So you're going to feel it drawing out from your torso out through your tummy button right now. If you've got a second dimensional snake being like scarab beetle type things, octopus type things, they could just sit somewhere in the body, block your meridians. Again, they're in a different dimension. They're in the first and second dimension. So they're going to remove those. You might feel a lightness come somewhere in your body. If you've got a second dimensional snake being, they tend to lurk in the left or right shoulder, left or right hip, left or right breast. They'll pull those out. So you feel an unraveling of kind of a spirit type snake thing. It's gentle, but you should feel it. If you've got archons attached to you, they're connected to the current bioweapon that's going on. They have no body. They float to the second, third, and fourth dimension. So we're removing those now. You'll feel like an energy coming out your body, negative energy. And if you've got Luciferians, these things are very snarly, connected to, guess what, the Vatican. When they leave, they can contort your body or speak through your voice box in a snarly, raspy voice. So we're going to remove those now and send them all up the portal back to God with unconditional love and forgiveness. Right, the Melchizedekians will comb your meridians because you get stuck with redundant energy in different parts of the meridians. This is only, a taste of what we can do. I can't do a whole healing because we don't have time, of course. So you're going to feel angelic hands go down your body or light or within. They're very gentle. So going from your crown, down your face, the back hair on the left, down your neck, cross left shoulder, down your arm. On the right, we're doing the same. On the left, we're going down your neck, down your chest, down your abdomen, out through the hip. On the right, we're doing the same. On the left, we're going from your hip down your thigh, over your knee, down your calf, out to the foot. And on the right, we're doing the same. So I've got two types of energy available. We've got space-time continuum energy, very electrostatic. It comes from the ultimate dimension. So if you've got spirochetes and nanotech, which is Burley Lime, HIV/AIDS, Agent Orange, Morgellons. If you've got Morgellons, you've got Lyme. And then you've got the latest thing since 2019. If you've ingested that, it's got all those things and more in it. We're going to give you space-time continuum energy. So your body's going to start feeling very electrostatic. It starts off subtle. It's going to get stronger, staticky, buzzy energy. Then it's going to plateau. And you guys, without spirochetes and that replicating your body, you're going to feel ultimate dimension energy. You're going to get quite kind of spacey, really relaxed. So let's work on the liver and kidneys. A lot of people have adrenal issues. Why is that? Because of emotion. We ingest way too much emotion, bleeds into the adrenals. So they're going in now. They're going to start clearing the adrenals out. So you'll feel tugging, pulling there. It's all psychic surgery. If your liver's got fatty tissue on, they're going to break that down. So you feel movement in there. And they're also going to paste this very thick energy. I call it celestial goo. Whatever it hits, it creates the same tissue with the same DNA. So you're going to feel cool pasting, wrapping, tugging, pulling there. Now I'm going to work on the thyroid. Everyone's got thyroid issues because the extent of the energy right now. So they're working on the thyroid to clear the energy out of it. Right, we're going to take the liver up. So if your liver's paralyzed, it might be working, say, at 30% because of emotion again. It paralyzes, so it's not processing the toxins in your body, so it may have a lot of brain fog. So we're going to take the liver up now. So as it gets higher, your head's going to get lighter and lighter. So revibrating now higher and higher. The head will start clearing, higher and higher. Head should be getting lighter and lighter, higher and higher. Head should be getting lighter and lighter. So it's getting towards 100%. So it'll keep clearing over the next 5 minutes. But if your liver's, for example, going at 30%, if you take to 100, it'll drop back to 47.50. Do it again. It takes 3 or 4 times to stabilize the liver. If you've got spirochetes and nanotech, then it'll stabilize something around 60, 61, 62 until you get all that stuff out of your body. Right, so I'm going to clear the lymphatic system. So you're going to feel a lot of kind of beings like butterfly movement or crawlies right through your whole body. They'll clear all your lymph nodes out. This does have an effect. So if you go to the toilet the next day or so, if it smells really bad, it means your lymphatic is blocked. And so don't, be too concerned about it. Going to detox the body. Everyone feels this. So what we're doing is we're switching heavy metals toxins, mycotoxins, oxalates, and microplastics out of this time to a different time in the body, drawing them out of space, drawing them out of the body. So you're going to feel a weird sensation like a cool breeze. It starts off subtle. It's going to get stronger, stronger and stronger. Then it's going to plateau. We'll do it again. So you should feel this like weird cool breeze or a drawing of energy out of your body. So I'll keep that going. Right, I'm going to do some heart shock releases. I'm going to do about 4 or 5. Because empaths ingest a lot of emotion, they take things personally. So you can have something like, 150,000 layers, way too much. So what the Melchizedek beings do is they go in those layers, they're going to pull the biggest layer affecting your body right now. So as they pull it out, you're going to feel a tightness depending on where the energy affects your body, the emotion affects your body. You can feel a tightness either in the lower back, lower abdomen, solar plexus, breastbone, throughout upper back, shoulder, or neck, can be in the head or leg. So here's the biggest layer now. You should feel a tightness somewhere. Now, when the tightness releases, breathe it out because you're moving that energy. Really important. So second one, tight again, tighter and tighter. Breathe it out when it releases. Third one, tight again, tighter and tighter. Breathe it out when it releases. Well, I'll just close it off. I'm just going to put a sphere of, vibration around you. So, dear God, for everyone listening in now and in the future on any social media platform or on the radio, come on, we create a sphere of ultimate dimensional and conditional love around each and every person in the Merkaba field to protect them from any negative entities, fractals thereof, manipulations and transmissional frequencies that are not for that person's highest good through all space-time continuum in every dimension. So we thank you, God, send you unconditional love, and so be it. So, yeah, I don't know whether everyone felt that. Did you feel it, Dave?
I felt a little bit in my chest area.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Bless your heart.
For people who may have never had a spiritual healing, what should they be feeling?
They should be a bit spacey, head should be clearing, you should feel like the cool breeze, detoxing, and you'll feel a few things. Sometimes I find that if people have got trauma, they don't feel anything for a bit because you have to release the trauma from the heart chakra. So, because one of the protective mechanisms for the body is that if you have a lot of trauma, the soul kind of lifts out of the body an inch or so. So you kind of detach from it. You don't feel all the trauma. So that's kind of an important point. So, yeah, felt it through my spine. That's good. Yeah, I hope everyone felt it anyway. So, yeah.
Yeah, many in our chat room have said they felt it. Don't know about our radio land because I can't really see them or chat with them.
Yeah.
But
I hope they felt it. That's only a demonstration. And don't forget, I do 2 healings a week where it's by donation and it goes through a lot of things. It takes an hour, and that's on Thursday, 5 p.m. Central Time, and Saturday, 11 a.m. Central Time. So if you want to join those, it's by donation. And I always encourage you, if you've got no money, don't worry about it. Please come on. That's why I do it, because I want to give as many people healings as possible. And we can have one-to-one specialized groups. We've got the protocol to strip all the nanotechnology out, and yeah, we've got a lot of things going on.
is it to help clear our chakras? Is it to help clear our soul? What is the overall goal here?
The overall goal is to, clear the chakra points, get your vibration up. If you've got things like cancer, primary cause of cancer, what's that? It's basically emotion, where the emotion bleeds into, like in the breast or in the womb or in your prostate, whatever, then low vibration allows pathogenic infection to mutate the cells, turn into tumor. So, we deal with all of that, but the ultimate goal is to get your vibration really high, get rid of the, a lot of trauma so that you feel, you can then take your power back. Because when you got a lot of trauma, your vibration's low, you feel tired, you've got a load of emotion bleeding into your adrenals, you feel exhausted, it affects your hormones. It affects your liver. So if your liver's running low, one thing I will share with people, which is important at the moment, people are starting to put on weight. And why is that? Because what's happening, because of all the chemtrails and different things happening, you've got a lot of toxicity in your body. So with these solar flares coming in, it's plasma energy. It gets into the cells and it detoxes your body a little bit too fast. So what could happen is that when there's too much toxin in the actual bloodstream, then the body actually creates fat cells to store it for a while. So if you put in a lot of weight, don't worry about it. A lot of people have, so yeah, it's really important.
And here I just thought it was the amount of Tim Hortons I was eating.
Well, I eat very little, and I put, weight on, and it's just, I think the plasma energy is really effective, but it's also bringing a lot of emotion up as well. So people are having spinal issues and all this sort of thing. So really interesting. But that, like I say, that was just a demonstration, just to feel the energies. But if you want the proper healing, we do it twice a week, and obviously, you can get a one-to-one, specialized groups, whatever you want. So, yeah.
Does self-healing actually work?
If you have the faith, you can manifest anything. Dave, you can manifest anything. The problem is that we've been conditioned that we're not good enough, and, you're dumbed down, and, stressed because, you've got to pay all your bills and the taxes and everything else. We're not, we're supposed to be in a very free place where we can really expand our spirituality. But, with all these elements around, you're really a slave to the matrix system, and therefore it lowers your vibration. So people don't have the faith. It all comes back to faith and kind of gratitude as well, but mainly faith, So someone said the lower back feels better. That's good. Bless.
Yeah, but
So
that's easy to say, Dr. Chris. But, in life, the way it is right now, if you want to have a home, whether you own or rent, you have to have a vehicle. Most people need to have a vehicle. Most people have to be a slave to the grind because they are having to work to pay for food and your bills and children maybe, or even grandchildren or whatever. I mean, people, I think it's a record high in North America the last couple of years where people are having more staycations than they are vacations to relax. And people are using those staycations to catch up on sleep because life is such a go, go, go type pattern.
yeah, we've been programmed for that though. But I mean, if you look at my life, I mean, Dave, I'm kind of living proof that this works because I was in 1986, I was on £120,000 a year, which is like $150,000. I was earning a fortune, and I built it up. And then when I went bankrupt, it taught me everything about what I don't want, and I spent 21 years. That all collapsed. I didn't have any money. And then suddenly I rebuilt my life completely in the spiritual world. And people often say, well, how do you make money? You don't have to worry about it. If you can get in a good space, if you can release the emotion and get into a positive mindset, then I think, you can really move forward, because if God's got your back, I'm living proof of it, because I never ever thought I'd be sitting here, doing healings and going on podcasts, 30 years ago. I just never thought it, in America as well. And so, I think it changed my life for the better, a lot better. But it took a while, because you go through the dark nights of the soul, and you start releasing emotion. It takes a lot of work to pull out of it, so yeah. It's interesting.
So how would one start?
I think you have to find out what your gift is, and a gift is something that you don't really have to. Yes, you have to work at it, but it's natural. It's not like, for example, some of these 4-year-olds, they're concert pianists. You think this is a gift. They get on stage and they have to get this, special stool for them, and they're just playing as good, if not better, than concert pianists at the age of 4, which is incredible. So I think that if you can find what your gift is, it's a natural thing. You're drawn to it, whether it's working with crystals, whether it's growing food, whether it's painting. I mean, You know, I know painting is definitely not my gift. If I did a painting and went to a gallery, they say, get out and never come back, you know, because it would be dreadful. You know, I mean, actually writing books is not my gift. When I first got here, some lady invited me to Alaska and said, I want to put $30,000 behind you and I want you to go to America and spread your gift. So it did work out because she was just interested in me, not my gifts. But anyway, what she gave me a big booklet. She goes, you're going to have to write a book. Oh, no, you got to be kidding. Yeah, you're going to have to write a book. So I tried everything, you know, not my gift, you know, dyslexic, I can read, but it's arduous because you have to sometimes read a sentence. Well, that didn't make sense. You read it again, and all the words you missed out, you know, you put back in. So what I ended up doing is I tried Dragon Naturally Speaking. So I was speaking into it, and I came to Zeta Grays, and then it said, have a nice day. You know, well, that's not working either. So I got a ghostwriter, and it all took off from there. And we've got a great lady. She's on the board. She does the ghostwriting where, you know, I'll put a headset on, I'll walk around, I'll channel it, you know, and put all the, and when you come to something she doesn't understand, I don't understand what you mean by that, you know, and she pulls the information out of you. I tried everything, and it works a treat with the ghostwriting because it's my work, but what she's doing is creating an interface between me and the outside world so they can understand what I'm talking about. And she fills all the dots in, you know, which is great. So it's really worked well.
I guess I look at it, you know, from a pragmatic standpoint that, you know, I can't use anybody else's life in as an example, so I'll use my own. I mean, I work 2 jobs. I work, you know, I have to play the role of dad, so that's 3 jobs. I have to play the role of hubby, that's 4 jobs. I barely have time to even sleep, let alone eat properly. Definitely don't get enough sleep, don't get enough water, you know, and yeah, I have to personally make sacrifices and changes if I want to change that routine, but I haven't felt it hurt my spirituality or my belief or have my belief in spirituality try and carry me through those times.
Yeah, well, you always have enough. I think when you're doing good things and, you know, it's service to others, I always believe you'll have enough. Am I a multimillionaire? Of course I'm not. But, you know, I've always got enough. And I'm very grateful for that. I've always got food on the table. I think it does come back to, you know, my whole life has shifted. And, you know, I live off donations, you know. When that lady said, you know, just after 2000, you're going to live off donations. I think, how the earth, you know, can you live off donations? And here we are, you know, and it just happens. But I think where love goes, if you love, absolutely adore what you do, you don't have to worry about the money side. It just comes in. But, you know, when I first got to America, because I went bankrupt, I absolutely detested money, hated it, you know. And so I'd take anything other than money because, and we weren't doing so well. I struggled to pay the electric bill, everything else. And so this pastor came to me, you know, from a Unity church. He said, I want to have a coffee with you. And okay. So I sat down and she goes, well, why do you hate money so much? I said, I can't stand it because, you know, it's the demise of people. She said, but the problem with this world is that it operates around the bill and the bill's energy, you know. And she said, so if you went to the electric company and, you know, you tried to pay them in chicken and tomatoes or a cucumber, would they accept it? I said, well, of course they would. I said, what about if you get your hair done, you know? If you get your hair cut, can you pay with cucumber and 4 tomatoes or whatever? And I said, no. She said, what can you pay with this? The dollar bill. She said, but what's the difference? You know, they're both energy. It's an exchange, you know, and it kind of, yeah, you're right. You know, so I turn my perspective around on money, you know. Do I love it? No, of course I don't. But I think I respect it. You know, I think it's probably a good thing. So, yeah.
We only have a few seconds before we have to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. And, you know, I mean no disrespect with you here, but I would agree to disagree with you on that point. I know it worked for you. And
but it worked for me, yeah.
It works individually for other people, you know, and I know people who have worked their tails off and have not been able to get that break. So I think that it is something that is an open process. You know, and whatever happens, happens. Dr. Christopher Macklin, we have him until the top of the hour on Spaced Out Radio. We'll be right back.
Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we are clear. Let's bring your mic back on. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Michelle, aka Mish, how are you? Resist Evolve, welcome to SOR chat. Who else is joining us here? Hillbilly Herb, nice to see you. That's right. Be like Tim Mothman. Hit the like button. Give us a thumbs up or down. Your choice. Don't care. Just make it happen. That's all I want. All I want. If you have questions for Dr. Christopher Macklin, put them in capital letters. I will get to them in the next half hour. And I'm a blue mermaid, says Dr. Christopher Macklin. I've experienced my life parallel with yours. That's a nice
Wow.
comment.
Bless her heart. That's amazing. Yeah, I think a lot of people experience these traumas and things. It's tough to go, but when you look back on it, it's taught me so much, about life. It's amazing.
Yeah, through hobo. What are you talking about, hobos tonight, Luscious Jules? I think you're a beautiful speaker. I do, Dr. Chris.
You do? Oh,
I
bless
do.
you. Thanks. There's a lot of chat.
Oh, the chat room's going nuts. They always do every
Really?
day. Awesome.
It's brilliant. Yeah, someone mentioned hillbilly before. I thought I was in training because I'm in the Ozarks to be a hillbilly, but I'm not a hillbilly. But I've got the car heart, so that's something.
Oh, that's nice. You want hillbilly? I got. I'm doing this show with my pajama bottoms on.
Yeah, that's okay. I've done it in the past myself because you can't see me.
Oh yeah, I would totally do that. I would love to have my bathtub in here. Just open my bathtub. Now, there's the big question tonight, Hillbilly Herb. Who is actually wearing pants right now?
Yeah. Well, I am, so I'm okay.
For some of you,
Pantaloons.
it's 1:30 in the morning. Who's wearing pants?
Yeah, it's 12:30 here, Central Time.
What is a sleeping jacket, Stargazer? 11. How you doing, buddy? I'm a Blue Mermaid. Don't forget to hit subscribe and ring that bell. Oh, where are you in Canada, Crusader?
-40.
Oh, yeah. We haven't hit that yet here this year. Probably in February for us. We'll be... Hold on one sec. Here we go. Here we go with the second half of Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hey, we want to remind all of you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, our archives are always free on YouTube, as well as every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read the Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. Final time tonight. Author, researcher, experiencer, Dr. Christopher Macklin. We're opening up our spirituality in the last half hour. His website, globalenlightenmentproject.com. globalenlightenmentproject.com if you want to check it on out. Dr. Macklin, how you doing?
I'm wonderful. Bless your heart. Thanks for having me on, Dave. Bless you.
Where does the connection to ghosts and spirits come into play with all of this?
Ghosts and spirits, well, it's interesting. I mean, I think they're one of the same. Spirits, ghosts, ghosts can learn to actually transform themselves, so at least you can see some sort of outline of them, But the spirits, where there's a lot of spirits, especially Native American, for example, when they pass, I think they kind of make a vow that they're going to stay with the land, so they stay between worlds. That's why you get a lot of American, Native Americans, walking around, and sometimes you can see them, sometimes you don't. I mean, again, I can see the veil, so I can't differentiate. But the ghost is obviously, for the average person who can't see through the veil, they're making themselves present by changing their energy, so you can, see the outline of them. It's interesting.
Have you ever communicated with spirit or channeled?
Yeah, all the time. I channel. Well, I talk to the Melchizedek beings all the time, and it's very important. Actually, this is probably something that maybe I should talk about. Is that you've got to be careful your channel's not hijacked. And what do I mean by that? Sometimes, if you're channeling, you think you're channeling somebody, but you're not. You're channeling, say, an Anunnaki, a reptilian creature. What happens is that, the reptilian will give you truths. Like, if I didn't know you and I was doing a reading, it would say, well, yeah, you're doing a radio host, you're doing this, you're doing that. And you say, wow, how do you know that? And then they give you one big lie. Like, well, they're saying you should be moving to France next year and buying that house with the pink roof, red doors, whatever. What? But because you've got the truth, you think, well, it must be right. And for a lot of people, not most people, but a lot of people think, well, maybe I need to go to France. And you will find that house with the pink roof, red doors, and somebody's got one somewhere. Wow, they were right, but they've been manipulated. So it's very important to ask your channel, if you can, even if it's telepathy, ask them, are you of God? Because they can't say the word God if they're reptilian. And if you don't get an answer, then your channel's not clear. And that goes for a lot of people. That's why a lot of readers get it wrong, because they're not channeling a pure, angelic, in quotes, being. They're channeling reptilians.
How does one channel? How do you do it? And would you recommend it to others?
Yeah, I think it's something that you've got to practice. Sorry, I've got a problem with that. I think it's something you have to practice it's not. It doesn't come straight away. You've got to talk, and you've got to clear your mind, and then you get the answers you're asking. I've had a lot of people say, "Well, how do I talk to them?" You've got to clear your mind. If there's something in your mind, like I've got to go shopping, write all the stuff down. If there's something else you've got to do, write it down, and then try and focus your mind. Just let it go. Don't think about anything. It took me a while to learn that. But when I learned it, I could actually meditate. I mean, when I went to Australia, I literally got on the plane. Where did we go from? Yeah. Well, I went from Branson. I went to one of the hubs and then straight to Australia. But it's a lot of hours, like 14, 15 hours. And literally, I got in the space and I was kind of in a transcendental meditation. I was talking to the beings and getting information. And suddenly they said, seatbelts on for landing. I thought, wow, it felt like 5 minutes. It was incredible. So it's a very good thing to do. And I could do it on planes. I taught myself to just clear your mind. But it takes a little bit to be able to, you got to teach yourself it. It doesn't come naturally for a lot of people because there's so much going on in life, So, yeah. But when I channel, I just literally, focus on the Melchizedek beings, and then I say, so, what's this? What's that? Oh, it's this. And I get it in my mind. Sometimes they write the number in front of me, like, it's almost like having it written in front of your eyes, like, okay, what's this person's liver percentage? And they'll just write like 47 or 54 or whatever. So, yeah, I've learned a lot about that. But it took a while.
When you channel, what are you or who are you channeling?
Only the Melchizedek beings. I just talk to the Melchizedek beings. And they're from the ultimate dimension.
Okay, talk about that alternate dimension. Where are they from?
Well, the ultimate dimension, they sit in the ultimate dimension, which is forever expanding. There's infinite dimensions. People just haven't learned that yet. People think there's different, there's different densities of that, but this is third density, but infinite dimensions, which means that, the universe is forever expanding. So they sit, very close to, a lot of other beings, and they kind of police a lot of things down here, like, what's going on. They're connected to the Galactic Federation, and so are the Arcturians and the other ones as well. But the Melchizedek beings, they're pretty powerful beings.
What do they look like? Have you ever seen them?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think they give the form that you expect them to look like. And what I saw is like quite tall beings, but with white hair, long hair, and they had robes on. But I've also seen them with completely gold bodies, so I think it just depends what you expect them to look like. It's like if someone turns up, like, say, Mother Mary, she would show herself on what you expected her to see, like Jesus, the same, So I think it just depends what you expect them to look like, what they show you, and they know what you expected. Otherwise, if they showed up, you think, well, who are you, So yeah, it's interesting.
Do you believe then that the phenomena only gives you as much as you can take?
I do, yeah. I think it goes back to like, beings turning up in your house, they're not going to show themselves. They're not allowed to show themselves unless you're ready for it, I mean, I don't know how many people would be ready to see Mother Mary at 1 o'clock in the morning in their bedroom. Probably not many people, because it freak you out. Oh my God, what's this? Because you weren't expecting it. But for me, I just expect everything. So, I'm not surprised at anything. I've got to a point, it sounds crazy, but I'm not scared of death. I'm not scared of life. I'm not scared of anything, nothing, and that's an interesting place to be. And I find it a good place. That's just me personally. I love it because I don't have no fear of anything, death, life, nothing. I just love what I do, and I dedicate my life to people. That's all I do.
The being that you are channeling from the alternate dimension, What kind of messages do you get from them?
Well, it depends what I'm talking to them about. Like the Pyramid Project, they tell me how they're doing. The Pyramid Project is interdimensional pyramids. They're being built by the Arcturians in the 12th dimension. They're going to be switched in time space down here. So we don't have enough material on this planet, which they're going to be made of Moldavite. We just don't have enough Moldavite, so they're building them in the 12th dimension and switching them down here. So when I talk to them, they show me, through the veil, how they're doing, where they're up to, and then he's just kind of suggesting like when they're going to come down. When they're going to come down is when the planet stabilizes. They won't bring them down here until this planet stabilizes and there's some peace, happening, because they can get taken over. I mean, these things are priceless. If they just appeared one morning, these pyramids, people are just, wow, want to come and see them. And that's what's going to happen, I think. So, yeah, people probably think I'm nuts, but, it's what it is.
The enlightenment that you get from having that conversation, how do you take that message from an entity that's obviously maybe a little bit smarter than us spiritually and in life? How do we take that and mold it towards our own life trail that we're going on right now?
Yeah, it's difficult because a lot of people, like I say, don't believe half this stuff still. I mean, it's interesting because, to me, there's so much happening on this planet at the moment. If people don't realize there's something wrong with the whole picture of, what's going on, I'm not interested in politics, religion. I'm not interested in anything. I just believe in one prime creator. But at the same time, all the manipulation going on is pretty horrific. And, you can see it, and some people just don't see it at all. Oh, yeah, there's something wrong, but it'll be okay. It won't be okay. It's up to us to actually change it. We've got to change it. It's up to us. It starts with us, the people, in my opinion. So how do you tell people about things? Some people will listen, some people don't. And my favorite phrase is, "Oh well, I tried." What can you do? But but I'm always open to try and enlighten people, so to speak, if they want enlightening. So,
how do you, or would you recommend somebody who has never channeled before to get into that type of spiritual contact?
I taught myself. A lot of people want someone to teach, and people have asked me, would you teach what you do? Well, again, it goes back to, connecting them because they're beings, but things like meditation, you can teach, but sometimes it's good to go maybe on a retreat where you can actually be away from all the noise, switch all the phones off, everything else, and just spend that time, with people, practicing meditation, practicing clearing your mind. Sometimes you need that, everyone needs it. I like a lot of time alone sometimes because, like I say, I can just let my mind go and talk to because they're beings, or maybe I'm just letting my mind go doing nothing. Because sometimes to decompress, you need to do that. And I never feel guilty. Years ago, I used to feel guilty. Like if I wasn't working or doing something, gosh, am I lazy? And nowadays, it's the opposite. I need the alone time to decompress because, we work on, I'd say, 3,000 people a week, with the specialized groups, one-to-ones. We've got the protocol, and then we've got the general groups. And, with working with that many people, you ingest a lot of emotion. One of the things I have to do every week is get a chiropractic adjustment and then get a massage with all the muscles, because when you listen to people's, things and, mishaps and stories, whatever it is, the people are pretty upset at the moment. People are struggling. And so you're going to ingest some of that emotion. You can't help it. And so every week, I release it and then, go for a chiropractic massage and then put my back in, and then we're good to go for another week. So that's one of the self-care things I do. That's quite important.
As you move forward with your own research and your own experiences with the paranormal, supernatural, Is it your job then, after listening to you for almost 2 hours here, is it your job then to bring these messages forward, or do people have to find them on their own?
I try and bring them forward. I mean, we do little snippets on things on YouTube. Oh, sorry, I'm not on YouTube, but on Facebook and, X and everything else. We try and put some enlightening things to just try and steer people in the right direction. So I feel as though, I've helped a lot of people in my life. And, I think as a messenger, I don't want to impose on people. If they're not interested, it's okay, So they're not interested in healing, that's okay as well. But if you can help people, try and transfer the mind from fear to, power, I think, you've done a lot, and, I get really excited when I see people take their power back. Wow, it's amazing because they transform, wow, I feel a really powerful being now, having released the trauma and things like that. I've worked a lot with Illuminati, what I call fallout children, and bless them, and they're adults, but the abuse has been horrific, and you can spend a year with these people, just going through the things and transmuting them. And all the people I've worked with have actually got back to work and now got relationships, and I feel very good about that. It's really helped them take their power back from all the trauma they've been through.
Do you feel guided to people? Like, are there certain people that you come in contact with, or maybe you feel you need to reach out to because you're being guided towards their medium?
Oh yeah, that happens quite a lot, but I've had people who are guided to me as well. I remember being in a store once, and I was just standing in the queue, and this guy turned around, "Hi, my name's John," and then I could see on his face, like, why am I talking to this guy? I don't even know him. And I said, "Oh, hi, John. Good to see you." And had a little chat, and people. But sometimes I get led to people as well, like, "Oh, this people for whatever reason need some help," and sometimes they say, "Oh, something's just happened to them. They've lost somebody, or they're sick, or whatever." And you just give them an encouragement, like, "Hope you're okay." Thinking of you, praying for you. And sometimes, "Oh, you do healings." Healings is one of those things that some people believe in and a lot of people don't. But that's okay. So yeah.
So for those who you are seeking out, is the message different than, say, one that seeks you out for advice?
Yeah, because they're open and ready. And that's the thing. If people are ready for healing, if they seek me out and say, "Yeah, I want a healing," they're ready to receive it, which is important. If it's the opposite, where I seek them out, there might be traumas and things, and you maybe share some good information with them to help them, and will they listen? Maybe not. But I'm not there to judge them. It's just I just share my gifts and my ideas with them, but I never impose them. My thing is, well, you can do it or don't. It's up to you. I'm here for you if you need it. And if not, that's okay. So, yeah.
How do you draw the line then, as like a spiritual counselor? How do you draw the line of not getting personally involved in the process?
I think I never do in-person sessions. I always do it on Zoom or whatever. So, and because I use portaling systems, there are energies within the portal, which means that I do get affected. I mean, I'd be lying to say I don't get affected. I do, to a certain extent. Dave, anyone would be. If you've heard some of the stories I've heard, it's incredible. I remember being in tears with one thing. I was going through some of the trauma they'd been through, and I was in tears, but I didn't let them know because I wanted them to encourage it, to share it, so they could actually transmute it. Because you talk about things, then you transmute an emotion. You're feeding into it, then it transmutes. So but you're going to take some of it on. You can't help it, unless you're cold. If you're stone cold, of course you won't. I'm not interested in that. But I'm an empath, and I really I'm sure you are as well. I don't like to see people sick. I don't like to see people struggling, and it's hard, in this day and age to, it's difficult.
Very true. Very, very true. Couple more questions, as we only got about 4 minutes to go here with you tonight. You often discuss AI timelines, reptilian beings, astral parasites. What are the most common entities then that you are clearing today?
It used to be Anunnaki. Now it's Archons. So what's happening with the AI stuff and everything else is that, you know, I'm going to put it, the stuff that people are ingesting, I'm sure you guys know what I mean, since 2019, is nanotech. And the nanotech gets in people's bodies and it affects them badly. And so what happens, the CRISPR technology splices the genetics, so their DNA is not compatible with the soul. So what happens is the soul lifts out of the body. That's why people who have had the ingestion, you know what I mean, they become checked out. A lot of people become checked out, but they're aggressive as well. And their whole personality changes. And the reason for that is the entity, you're talking to an archon then that's within them, and their soul's outside them. So you're talking to an entity that's aggressive, and, you know, so yeah. That's the ones I'm removing all the time at the moment. And people are really getting into trouble with that, you know, with the ingestion, as you can probably imagine.
How do you remove them? How do you remove an alien entity?
Well, you put it in a portal, and then the Kislet beings go in and they actually escort it out of the body. You can feel it leave, you know. So, yeah.
So it'd be kind of like astral travel.
Yeah, I mean, if they're in a different dimension, they can take it up the portal and deliver it and do what they like with it. That's why I always send them back to God with unconditional love and forgiveness, because I think it's really important, and I don't judge them. Like I say, you know, going back to that meeting, violation education, you know, they're here to teach us how to, you know, get rid of them. Because people can say, well, you know, if an Anunnaki attaches to me, that's a violation. It's not, because you knew before you came down here. Now, if a grey abducts you and steals your body bits like sperm, eggs, or whatever, then that is a violation because they had no permission from you, you know. But, you know, you give your permission just by coming down here. So, yeah, it's interesting.
We have about 2 minutes to go. Let's see if we can sneak one more question in. What makes a person vulnerable to attachment or some sort of energetic manipulation, I guess?
Vulnerable, well, some people are targeted, but other people, if your vibration's low and you're stressed, you know, because you're running around, going to work, you know, doing life at a high pace and not giving yourself time to actually just sit and take, you know, and be able to relax and, you know, clear your mind. I think everyone needs to do that, some sort of spiritual practice. But if you're not, you know, what'll happen is your vibration drops because you're running around, you're stressed, you're trying to pay the bills, trying to pay the taxes. When your vibration drops, then you're vulnerable to them. And we do have a prayer to keep them out. Mm-hmm. Which, if you have a look at the website, it's called the 27 Esoteric Merkaba Field Prayer. Well, actually, I like the word map of intent. And it's just basically putting 27 esoteric Merkaba fields around you to protect you from any negative entities, fractals thereof, manipulations, and transmissional frequencies that are not for your highest good. If you say that prayer 3 times a day, that will keep the entities out once they're gone. And so that's probably a good thing to do.
All right. Dr. Christopher Macklin, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on Spaced Out Radio tonight. I hope you've had fun with us.
Yeah, it's been brilliant. Thank you so much.
Tell everybody where they can reach you. You got about 30 seconds.
Yeah, so if you go to the globalenlightenmentproject.com, if you want to send a form in, and it's part of our ministry, Christopher Macklin Ministries, it's a project of that. And if you go to that, you know, website, send a thing, have a look on, you know, you can email the office through there, and we'll be in touch with you. Or you can phone the office, the phone number's there. You know, the girls are in. We have about 9 staff, you know, so they're always in, you know, talking to people. So just feel free if you want a healing one-to-one specialized group, or just sign up also for the general groups. That's there as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Doctor. We appreciate you so much.
Thanks, Dave.
Coming up next on Spaced Out Radio, Swamp Dweller. Then the Wizard joins us for the UFO report.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Great job tonight, Dr. Chris.
Oh, thanks. Bless you.
You're awesome.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much. Let's do it again, maybe. It'd be beautiful.
Yes, for
Bless
sure.
you.
For sure.
God bless.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Take care. God bless.
Good night. Dr. Christopher Macklin, everybody. I'll be right back. And hour 3 is next. All right. I am back. Let us bring in the wizard. See how he's doing. Wizard, how you doing, my friend?
I am doing fantastic.
Beautiful. Beautiful. It's always a pleasure to have you here.
And it's always a pleasure to be here, Dave.
Very nice. Very nice. Hot sauce I ate. It's trying to give me heartburn.
Yeah, we had pizza tonight, DiGiorno, and my wife forgot about it and got a little burnt. And
Oh,
so
no.
I was dipping it in pizza sauce to try to help it out a little bit.
Oh,
and,
no.
The tomato sauce is not sitting well. So
Swamp Dweller will be about 5 minutes, 45 seconds. Okay.
Okay.
We finally got our first super chat of the night. Blue Skies, thank you very, very much for your love and support. We appreciate you coming on in and loving us like that. For all the people who have hit subscribe, rang that bell, give us a thumbs up. Thank you. Even if you gave us a thumbs down, thank you. Shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you check it on out and get your clothing today. That way you might get it before Christmas. 5 seconds. Here we go. Hard to believe we're already in the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hey, we want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Scandaroon. Scandaroon is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp.
I went to Nebraska National Forest every long weekend with two friends who I'll call Haley and Todd. I have known them for years and we would never hike alone because of the risk. So, we became a group. Anyways, it was spring last year when we went on a week-long backpacking trip. It was a 7-hour drive there. I, being 14, couldn't drive, but Haley was 16 and Todd was 15. Haley drove us there, and we had a great time for the first few hours of the drive. But when we got closer to the forest, something felt off. I know it sounds cliche, but I had this feeling like I was going to get sick. I tried to ignore it at first, and thought I was just nervous. So Haley and Todd, I guess, noticed that I was acting off. They asked me what was up, and when I told them something wasn't right, they laughed, thinking I was trying to scare them. A few hours later, the feeling is still there, but we are on a trailhead now. I got out, and everything was as it should be. We grabbed our packs, and off we went. I felt like I was at home in the trees, and the feeling was soon forgotten. We walked a little over 5 miles that day before we set up camp. We had a 2-person tent that Haley and I brought, and then a hammock that Todd had brought. After we set up camp, ate, and were just chilling by the fire, there wasn't any alcohol or drugs involved, we were just talking. Todd began complaining about how he didn't want to sleep in his hammock. I didn't want to listen to him complaining and offered to switch places. He gladly accepted. So the night went on as usual. Around 2 a.m., when we all got tired and went to bed, well, everyone but me, I have extremely bad insomnia, so I was just mending to the fire and chilling. Finally, I decided that I would get in the hammock and just try to read or something. So I put out the fire, grabbed my headlamp, and got into the hammock. I noticed that something was off, but I just couldn't place what it was. That's when it hit me. It was completely silent in the woods. No crickets, no animals, nothing. My skin started to crawl. Something was off. I turned out my headlamp and laid and kept silent. I wanted to try and hear some type of animal to ease my worries. That's when I heard it. Something was dragging against the tent. I wasn't even 5 feet from the tent and it freaked me out. I did something really stupid. I called out my friends' names, and the noise stopped. I got no answer, but this feeling of dread was something I haven't ever felt before or since. That's when I felt it. Something poked the hammock. It wasn't like a soft poke. It was like a jab. I was horrified, to be honest. What the hell had just touched me, and where the hell was it? I was frozen. I suffered from anxiety, and I felt the panic rising in me. I couldn't understand what was going on. That's when I made another mistake. I decided to see what wanted to jab me. All this happened within seconds. I reached up and clicked on my light. That's when I saw it. It's like something straight out of nightmares. There was a creature about 4 feet above me staring at me, kind of hunched over. I was about 3 feet off the ground, so this thing was probably 7 or 8 feet tall. It looked like a dog, but it also didn't. It had the face of a wolf, but in a human type of way. The eyes looked red, and the ears looked clipped like a pit bull's. Its mouth pulled back in a snarl, and a hand, or claw, paw, whatever you want to call it, blocking its face. I was absolutely terrified. Its teeth were huge and sharp. The paws, if you could even call them that, had 5-finger-type things with sharp, long claws on them. They looked like they could tear me apart. I stared at this thing for what felt like hours, but was only probably 5 seconds. That's when I screamed bloody murder. As soon as I did, this thing let out something between a scream and a howl. It was deep and I could feel it. That's when I heard Todd yell, "What the heck was that?" I heard the tent opening, and that's when the creature and I finally broke eye contact. I yelled at Haley and Todd to help me. I looked back and this thing was climbing the freaking tree. It was still staring at me. That's when I saw the back of it. It had the tail of a dog. Grayish, silver fur, a black mane down its back, and a hump. I took this opportunity to scramble out of my hammock. We took off without grabbing anything. I had no shoes or anything. We made it to the car, but the whole time back I heard something in the trees. The next day we had park rangers go get our stuff because we were so freaked out. When they got there, everything was gone. Not even trash remained. It was as if we were never there. They blamed us for lying. We have no idea what happened, and I had no idea what I saw or why it didn't just kill me. I haven't been back in the woods for a very long time, but every time I close my eyes, I still see that thing and hear its roar.
Oh my gosh. That is my ultimate nightmare out at Flight 21. Is that exact scenario happening? Thank you, Swamp Dweller, for literally scaring the crap out of me. If you want more Swamp Dweller, you can hit subscribe, ring his bell on his YouTube channel, Swamp Dweller. Thousands of stories just like that for you to choose from. So choose wisely. You might get a little creeped out. That one got me. Time for the wizard.
Space Out Radio presents a UFO report. The UFO wizard makes his presence known. Just what it's to go.
The wizard, Josh Rutledge, is here for the UFO report. Josh, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing fantastic. I was thinking about that Swamp Dweller account, that story, or however you want to think about it. And, talk about talking about getting the crap scared out of you. I was thinking, you were saying that that's the worst nightmare is to have that happen at Flight 21, but even worse if you were in the middle of doing the nature's business, if you know what I mean. Uh, so that would have been even worse, I think, in that situation.
I have an immense fear of dogmen. I really do. I don't know why this creature scares me so much, but it does. And I just absolutely know without any proof or whatever that I'm going to run into one of these things. I don't want to. And I'm not trying to manifest it out of fear or anything, but I just know it's going to happen and it's going to scare me. And I don't like being scared. I don't mind being startled. I don't like being scared. And that is one that I don't want to face my nightmare. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I realized something maybe about a year ago, maybe a little bit more, is that the phenomena does not want to involve itself with people, with humans, when we are having a fear response, because we're so, I don't know, unpredictable in how we're going to behave when we're afraid. So, I set off over the last 18 months in training myself to better control my fear response. And I was sitting in my backyard. This is probably about a year ago. And I was just sitting out in the backyard, and no lights, no fire, nothing, just sitting there. And I started getting this really pungent smell. It honestly, Dave, it smelled like rotting flesh, and didn't know where it was coming from. And I had my fear response welled up, and I shut it down, quickly. But then the smell just got just deeper and heavier, and I couldn't control my fear response. My fear response spiked up again, and as soon as it did, and I didn't control it, the smell went away, the heaviness in the air went away. So something was there. I like sometimes I wonder if ETs aren't so similar to humans that we think they are. That's just the image they project so that we don't have a fear response. And so maybe they do smell, or maybe they do, or they are very odd or weird looking in reality. And if we were to ever really truly look upon their true form, maybe we would be scared. Maybe that's where a lot of the description of the various types of angels that are in the Bible and various religions around the world come from. Maybe that's where a lot of our cryptids come from. Maybe Dogman is just a different type of ET, in his non-projection changing form. So I don't know.
I don't know. I don't want to run into one. It just kind of freaks me out. I mean, to see with your own eyes, say up close and personal, because you never hear of people seeing a dog man from far away, like 100, 200 yards away. You know what I'm saying? They're always within like 40 yards of you, and they give you that death stare. And seeing a German Shepherd head or a wolf head on a human-like body, that just absolutely scares the daylights out of me, even talking about it.
Well, there's also a thing where humans, it's called the uncanny valley. It's we cannot tolerate things that are not human, that have human facial features. This is really demonstrated in the movie Sonic the Hedgehog when it came out. When they screened it, Sonic was too human looking, and it turned off all the audience when they screened it. Gave it horrible reviews. And so when they asked them, they asked for more information. They found out it was because Sonic was too human looking. So they had to go back and modify the Sonic drawings and CGI to make him look less human, so that it would be more acceptable to people that were going to the movies. So, I think that's probably why, ETs do look close to human, but not quite human, because they, again, would elicit that uncanny valley response, fear response.
What would you do if you ran into a dog man face to face?
I carry milk bone biscuits in my pockets. In case of emergency, break glass, and inside there's just like a stack of milk bone biscuits. In all actuality, my only hope is that I'm with someone and I just have to outrun them. But I'm not really fast, and I would probably try to like bob and weave and dislocate my knee and fall on the ground. At which point I would probably take on the grizzly bear tactic of just curl into a ball and protect my neck.
Yes. I don't want to run into it. At least you're not going to run into a grizzly bear in Arizona.
That's true. There have been, Arizona is most known, like as far as its cryptid type sighting, is most known for the jackalope, but there have been Sasquatch sightings in Arizona. The one I remember off the top of my head, a guy was driving out 40 towards California in like a camper, and he just happened to look over and saw this 8-foot tall, hairy, like sandy haired Sasquatch just walking through the desert. So, yeah.
You know what I did today?
I do not. Does it involve dog men preparation?
No.
Okay.
I'm sitting here in my chair and I couldn't remember why I'm so uncomfortable in my studio chair tonight. I slipped on black ice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've done that before.
I went down like a ton of bricks, because here's the thing: when you get over 50, you just kind of fall.
Yeah.
You don't try and stop it. You don't try and do anything.
No.
You just fall. It's like being a 5-year-old kid again, where you just take the fall. And I slipped.
You do try to target your butt though, usually.
Well, I landed on my butt, which has a lot of padding, and but it just jarred my back and my neck.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here right now thinking, like, why am I so uncomfortable right now? It's like, yes. Oh, yes. This is the pain of being 52 years old. That's what that is, man.
Yeah.
That's what that is. Yeah, I don't like black ice.
Also, the pain of forgetting how old you are and thinking you can do all the physical things around the house like you're 27, and then being reminded the next day that you're not 27.
Yes. Yeah, that I'll be honest with you, Josh. That part sucks.
Yeah.
That part sucks real bad, man. Real bad. 5 minutes to go. What do you got for us tonight?
All right. So I got a couple things, but I'll start off with Steven Spielberg. He's making a UFO film. He's been hinting at it for a long time. When all the drone stuff was happening in New Jersey, a lot of speculation was that it was actually Steven Spielberg filming for, flying drones around or something. But he actually put up a new film billboard today, and it's all over the interwebs because it's a very interesting / provocative image. It's just like a person's face, and their eye is wide open, and there's like a radiant glow around the edges. But the billboard contains the words, "All will be disclosed 6/12/2026."
Yeah, no better place to put it than in New York, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's Times Square.
Yeah, you have
Um,
to do that.
yeah,
You
and
have to.
then what's really for me, Spielberg is actually born and raised in Arizona. He was from Scottsdale, which is one of the kind of city parts here in Arizona. Yep, there it is. And now that I'm looking at it, Dave, on your screen, I don't know why I didn't see it before. It's a bird. It's an outline of a bird over the person's face.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
Yeah, it looks like a cardinal maybe or something like
Now,
that. But yeah,
yeah, looks like a
maybe
cardinal.
an owl. Although the feet are rather crow-like. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's there's a lot of speculation around Close Encounters of the Third Kind that he was having financial difficulties getting the movie out, and he received an anonymous donation with enough money to finish the movie and get it out. And there's a lot of speculation that anonymous money actually came from the government, and that Close Encounters of the Third Kind was meant to be, kind of an additional step towards soft disclosure. So if this new film, which he apparently wrote, was about 40 pages originally, and then they took that and developed it into a script. If this new film is disclosure, is it disclosing the truth about Close Encounters of the Third Kind? Is it disclosing what he knows about the phenomenon? I mean, it's just um, it there's a lot of questions that come from the 5 words that are on the billboard.
I want to chime in on this if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay. And that is the UFO community is known for making Mount Everest type mountains out of molehills.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what we are going to go through for the next 7-8 months until this movie comes out.
Just like we did with the Age of Disclosure trailer.
Absolutely. And they think that a fictional movie by Steven Spielberg, no matter how real it seems, because he is going to have incredible technical advisors on this.
Yep.
Okay. I really do believe that the UFO community is going to make a major faux pas when this movie comes out. And that is they will believe that this movie, this fictional movie,
Mm-hmm.
and trust me, I am pumped up to see this. I am pumped for this. I mean, if anything could be a sequel to Close Encounters of the Third Kind, this is probably it almost 50 years later.
Yeah.
Okay. But there are going to be people in our community who believe this movie is going to be true and that this is the movie that is going to bring disclosure
Mm-hmm.
to the world. And I look at these people because the comments are already flying on X and on Facebook that Spielberg could be the disclosure guy with his new movie. They're either saying that for clickbait or really bad discussion. But this is where you and I talk a lot about mainstream society taking this story seriously. This is where we get egg on our face, put our foot in our mouths, whatever cliche you want to use, because this movie is not going to be about true UFO disclosure. It is going to probably detail a lot of effects about ET and UFOs being here on Earth, but we have to be very careful about taking a sci-fi movie and all of a sudden making claims that it's going to lead us to the promised land. We'll continue that conversation. The Wizard, Josh Rutledge, here tonight on Spaced Out Radio.
This is Spaced Out Radio. Your host, Dave Scott.
All right, Wizard, we're clear.
Yeah, I do want to comment on your last thing when we come back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm trying to stir up that conversation.
Okay.
Oh, my back is killing me, Wizard.
Sorry to hear that. I'll send you some Reiki over.
Oh, that'd be wonderful if you could, dude. It's like my lower back, right up the right side, my shoulder blade, and then into my neck. Oh, Reiki it away, man. Reiki it away.
Yeah, it's coming to you, man.
Thank you. I just got it.
Going out to the Beard of Knowledge's ranch on Saturday night.
Nice.
Gonna do a little Skywatch chit chat, probably some channeling and things. It'll be fun.
Oh, dude. FaceTime me in.
Okay. He
Seriously.
has horrible cell phone signal out there, but I'll give it a
Does he?
shot.
Oh,
Huh?
then don't worry about it then. Just get a picture of that beard for me. I don't care about his face.
Yeah,
Get a
it's just
picture of that
beard.
gorgeous beard.
Yeah. Every time I go out, we see some lights off to the northwest. So,
Nice.
and when I don't go out, he doesn't see them. So I don't know if they're there for me. And it kind of seems like it at this point.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's cool. See, you've got that signal going. You've got that Kmart blue light special signal going now.
Yeah.
So that just makes sense that it's going that way for you. Makes total sense.
Hey, Dave, I found out the other day that so I have a real ID in the U.S. They're making a push for those last few years, and I can use that, I think, to travel into Canada.
Yeah, the enhanced driver's license.
Yeah.
Yeah, only if you drive. So you'd have to fly to a border town,
Yeah.
and then you could drive across.
So like I could fly to Seattle or something and then rent a car.
Bellingham's closer.
Okay.
Yeah, like when I fly to Vegas, I go through Bellingham, not Vancouver.
Do you know if my kids have to have like licenses or something
No,
equivalent?
they just need. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll look into it. I just found it out the other day though. So does your beard taste good? That's
Yeah, I'm always chewing on the damn thing.
okay.
I'm almost getting sick of the beard.
Yeah, I've only had my little whatever this is for like a month, and I'm
I
already
could send
getting
you
tired
this
of it.
one. I could send you this one if you want.
Yeah, just shave it off, glue it to like a face mask, and then I'll wear it.
Oh no, you could do that. I'll give you a project of your own. You heard it here, people. You heard it here first. Flat Six, how you doing? I'm gonna shave my beard off in the new year. I'm gonna shave my beard off and I'm gonna send it to Josh Rutledge.
And then I'm gonna make a beard mask and wear it on the show.
That would be
That's not weird.
creepy, but creepy awesome.
Make sure you put some lotion on that beard.
Oh, don't worry. I got the
He
beard
puts
oil right
he
here.
puts the lotion on his beard.
I got the beard oil right there. Thank you to Blue Skies for our lone super chat tonight. Greatly appreciate that. We're going to go in here in a couple seconds.
Yeah, I've actually got some stuff.
All right, we are into the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. The wizard Josh Rutledge is here for the UFO report. And we're going to get to that momentarily. But first, want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. Josh Rutledge, the UFO wizard, hanging on out with us. And right before the break, I could feel Josh's fingers and toes curling when I was saying that the UFO community is going to take this new movie by Steven Spielberg, which will be out very soon in just a number of months, June 12th, 2026. I'm hoping it is the repeat, finally, not the repeat, but the second edition of Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Josh, your thoughts?
So I know you're concerned that the community will take this fictional movie and treat it as fact. But I also think that just because it's fictionally written, that doesn't mean it doesn't contain factual elements.
Agreed.
So I think that the bigger potential impact is the people who are on the fringe or even who are uninitiated, like we've talked about before, that they will watch this and see something, and it might inspire them to want to know more based on fictitious information. But if they take an interest based on fiction, and through their interest discover fact, does it really matter? I don't know.
See, I agree with you there, but where I've been concerned is I have already read tweets on X where people believe and have been posting publicly that this new Steven Spielberg movie will bring disclosure. And I hearken back to the fact that I agree with you that this movie is going to attract more people to the subject. I fully agree with you on that. And I also agree with you that that the majority, probably the majority, will know that this is a fictitious movie and that it may spark their curiosity. I also strongly believe that Spielberg will have some incredibly smart people who are guiding him on this.
Mhm.
I have heard David Grush's name. I have heard Lou Elizondo's name. Whether you love them or hate them, doesn't matter. They're going to be kind of guiding him on some of these processes. You got to think Jacques Vallée is going to be in there since he was an advisor on Close Encounters of the Third Kind 48 years ago. You got to wonder if Gary Nolan is going to be in there. Who else is going to be advisors to him on this movie? And that's what will make it great. Look, I'm a huge fan of Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Josh.
Yeah.
And every time I watch that movie, and I watch it a couple times a year, every time I watch it, I see something new about how realistic it is. And I fully agree with you on that there is going to be reality written into fiction. But
Well, and I also, well, real quick before I forget, because I made note of this, John Williams did the musical score. So you know the music is going to be off the chain. But then the other piece I wanted to say is this is also a movie that will attract both, for lack of a better term, the initiated and the uninitiated into the same audience group to watch the same movie.
yes.
Right. And so I think it may, because of that, spawn some conversation between those two groups that otherwise wouldn't exist or wouldn't have an opportunity to happen, simply because of their shared interest in this movie.
And I think that's a proper comment. I do. I think that's a proper comment. I just don't want people. I don't want to read posts. I'm over speaking here for a second when I get excited. I don't want people to be using this movie for what it's not. This isn't going to convince the president of the United States that because there's a new Steven Spielberg movie that he now must disclose what the US government knows.
Correct.
Okay. Or the Pentagon or the alphabet agencies or whatever. But we are going to have people out there who are so true blue to the cause that they are going to be saying disclosures happened after this. Look, it's happened. Watch the Spielberg movie. And people will say, well, that's a fictional movie. Oh, no, that's exactly what's happening. That's exactly what's going on. And we're going to get that. We are.
Yeah, but we're going to get it anyway. And it's frustrating, but all you can do is listen, smile and nod, like I tell my kids to do sometimes. Just smile and nod. Just smile and nod. Because, either one of two things will happen. Either they'll be proven right or they'll be proven wrong.
True.
But, why let them live rent free in your head because you're frustrated with how they're approaching the movie, So I got better things to keep rolling around in my head.
That's right.
All right.
Right. What else you got for us here, my man?
Yeah, moving on. Since you brought up the president, Michael Schellenberger, who you may remember was one of the panelists in one of the UAP hearings last year. He's a journalist, and he was the one who originally reported that Secretary of State Marco Rubio believes the U.S. has given recovered UFO and UAP technology to contractors, and he says he put a call out to say that President Trump should speak publicly about the widely debated topic. Here's a quoted line from him. He says, he needs to speak directly to the American people and explain what's going on here. There is conflicting messages. An advisor to Rubio told Schellenberger that his boss believes the government has handed over UFOs to private military contractors to work on. He added those contractors are becoming more knowledgeable about these crafts than the government. Schellenberger said that the unnamed advisor also thinks that the U.S. is, quote, headed toward massive disclosure. Rubio was one of the main figures featured in the release of the UFO documentary Age of Disclosure, as we know. Schellenberger believes Trump will soon face questioning about the potential disclosure of the UFO information. He compares it to how the president was bombarded with questions about the Epstein files. People are not going to let go of this, talking about the UFO disclosure. Schellenberger says Americans, quote, really want answers because I think at a certain point the speculation is boring when we know that our leaders actually do know what's going on. Thoughts?
Science Bob said last night on the show that he believes that, and if you know Science Bob, you know his disdain for the current presidency. He's very public about it. But he actually stated last night that he believes that Donald Trump could be the disclosure president. And he said he wouldn't be surprised if it happens in 2026. Now, I'm still on the side of the rope that says disclosure is not going to happen. I don't think the ball is going to get moved that much more forward. Will it move forward? Yes. But if we're looking for at a 1st and 10, we're running the ball and we're going to get a yard, if that.
Yeah.
Okay. But Trump is the kind of guy, okay, and like I said, I have no skin in the game. I'm Canadian.
Okay.
From an outsider's perspective, he's such a wild card that he may all of a sudden just come out and say, we found them. They're here, or we found a signal. NASA found a signal, or his Space Force that he created found a signal. That could happen.
It could, but I also think that there is so much. I'm going to try to say this without going too far, down the political path. But there's so much polarization, let's say, in the U.S., both for and not for President Trump, that I think that if he were to make that statement, some people would say he gave us disclosure. Other people would say, yes, but where's the proof? Just like they do for everybody else who comes out and makes such a claim. So that's why, for me, it's always a question of without evidence, without substantial evidence, I don't think that anyone is ever going to believe any statement made by any government official, foreign or not foreign, but former or current, without them providing substantial evidence. The same thing we talked about with age of disclosure, right? It's the same people saying the same words that have been said before, but providing no substantial evidence to support their claims. And so I think at the end of the day, a vast majority of the community would say, great, the president said that we have them. Great. Where's the evidence? And we're still going to be in the same boat that we're in right now.
I would agree with you on that. It's a slippery slope that we are going to have to wait and see what actually happens there.
Yep.
I think a key player in that, and Science Bob brought it up last night again, is Donald Trump Jr., who is absolutely fascinated with this topic.
Yeah.
Has Dad let it slip to him what really happened at Roswell? Maybe. He can't talk about it. Or other cases? Maybe. Obviously, he cannot talk about it. But you'd have to think that Donald Trump Jr. may have some pull on this subject with getting Dad to say something. Especially Dad doesn't care. He's outgoing in 3 years.
Yeah. Well, I think also, again, I want to be trying to walk the line here. I think that most of the actions that President Trump takes, or the things that he says, are towards some activity or effort that he's trying to achieve. So, if for nothing else, this would be a deflection, a potential, a well-received deflection from other things that he doesn't want to talk about. And I think that's maybe where a lot of people are thinking it may get announced, simply because it would give the media something else to talk about and to chew on for a while.
Very much would. But we also have to understand too, what kind of disclosure would we get? We're not getting what happens at Roswell. We're not getting what happened at Kecksburg, as we just celebrated the 60th anniversary of that. We're not getting what's happened with the Marfa lights or what they were hiding at Area 51. If Bob Lazar was the real guy, did Eisenhower meet with extraterrestrials and trade humans for technology? We're not getting any of that.
No.
You know?
I said in the beginning, many, 4 or 5 years ago, if we were to ever get official disclosure, where we agree, still the outstanding piece of we have to agree what disclosure is, but it would more than likely be from the 2004 Nimitz incident forward. We would get disclosure on those activities, but nothing before that.
Until the 2017s realized that there was UFOs and UFO history prior to 2004. That's the measuring stick line right there.
Yeah.
Okay. They don't care about anything in the past.
Yeah.
They don't care about anything that happened prior to 2004, and they will hide it to their nth degree. For what reason, we don't know. But you're right on that. I would 100% support what you said there.
Well, I think the reason that they hide it is because, and this is a rather logical statement, and I don't know how much of the community thinks in logical ways, but if the government acknowledges that they've had a secret UFO, recovery and investigation program since the 1940s, the admission of that fact, the confirmation of that conspiracy theory, if you will, would only fuel other conspiracy theories.
Yes.
Which would create massive headaches and probably some civil unrest across the US. And that's why I think they can safely, quote unquote, disclose everything from 2004 forward without touching on anything historically, which still gives us the answer of, are we alone in the universe? Or are things visiting us every day? Do we have technology? They can still answer all those questions without having to address anything prior to 2004. Now, for those of us that have been invested in the subject and want to know the answers about Roswell, we'll still be left hanging, but we'll still have the answers to the government acknowledging that, yes, they have craft. Yes, we've been visited. Yes, they've been trying to reverse engineer it. Yes, they did achieve some of that in some cases, and you're welcome for Velcro. But
hold on. Velcro's Canadian. Don't be taking one of the minimalist things that we have here away from us.
Well, whatever is the
I'm teasing there, buddy. I'm teasing.
Yeah, the Model T. Then I don't know, but the assembly line. They gave us the assembly line. But regardless, I think that that's where, for those that are eyebrow deep in the topic, you're never going to get everything that you want. But I think we might get something, and the something we might get may be substantial enough to change the way humans think about each other.
I hope so. We got 2.5 minutes. You got anything short for us?
I do. So the Polaris Brazil incident.
Yes.
It actually started in October of 1977, but this coming tomorrow, actually, the 13th of December, is the anniversary of the people who received the first radiation burns from the Polaris incident.
Oh, really?
Yep. So December 13th, 1977, they had scars on their bodies, and the claim is that the UFOs and the lights in the area that they called the chupa chupa, which literally translates to sucker sucker, that they would target them, shoot laser beams at them, and actually extract blood and other material from their body, leaving behind scars and radiation burns. It's one of the only mass UFO sightings that actually where the UFOs intentionally, or at least the appearance of intent, injured the people who were involved.
Wow. You know what the 13th also is?
A lot of things, but you can tell me.
It will be the 14th anniversary of me seeing the angel of death in my mother's eyes.
Oh, wow.
And that's what eventually led to me coming out of broadcast retirement, which I was thoroughly enjoying until the phenomena showed up. Led me back on the radio.
Well, I guess it's a good and a sad anniversary then.
Well, no, it's a good anniversary. I got another 12 years with my mom.
Okay.
So he told me how to keep her alive.
Okay.
So I followed it. You know, it's deep.
Yep.
It's pretty awesome. But man, 14 years. What was I thinking? Josh, tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find all my stuff on my website, ourmysticjourneys.com. It's my podcast, YouTube channel, and even a link there if you want to sign up and have a private dowsing session, channel, tarot reading, intuitive reading, whatever you want to do in that regards, private with me. You can sign up on my website too.
Josh, the wizard, you're one of the good guys in this field, and thank you so much for being a weekly contributor on Spaced Out Radio. We love you, buddy.
Thanks. I appreciate it. And I love all you all.
As we say goodnight to Josh, and hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, Space Travelers Club, and on X, hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Good job, Wizard. That was awesome. Good job, Wizard. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Wizard? Oh, he lost his sound. The Wizard's going to scare the hell out of you now.
Boo.
Boo. Jesus. See, that's how you're going to give me a heart attack. A dog man's going to do something like that.
I don't think dog men have the mouth form to make the B sound. I don't think dog men can say boo.
I don't want to take the chance. It's like today I was scrolling through my phone, and did you ever see that video came out a number of months ago from Australia where this kayaker is fishing? You know, this kayak fishing BS people do?
Yep.
In the ocean. Well, he's got about a 19-foot great white shark that starts following him. And he's like, oh my God, it's a great white. Oh my God, it's a great white. Oh my God, it's a great white. And it's like, if you get eaten today, this is completely your fault.
Yep.
You don't go in the middle of the ocean in a frickin' kayak. You don't.
Well, and to the great white, it probably looks like a giant seal. That's why most great whites attack surfers, I think, is and divers and stuff, is because they look like seals and they're just trying to figure out if it's a meal or not. All righty. Well, Dave, I'm going to call it a night.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I'll take a picture of the beard.
Yeah. We're talking Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
That sounds good. Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you so much. All right. There goes the wizard. Let me finish typing this out. All right. That's good stuff right there. Good stuff. Good show. All right. Tomorrow night on the show. Hey, thanks, Not Beef. Tomorrow night on the show, Graham Nichols is going to join us. Talk about some out-of-body experiences. We're going to have some fun with that. Those things scare the daylights out of me, too. My God, between Dogman and out-of-body experiences and sharks, what is this world coming to? Seriously. Like, what are we doing here? Thank you tonight to Sweet Tony D and Blue Sky. Really appreciate your love and support with the super chats. So thank you very, very much. And all of you, if you haven't already, hit subscribe, ring that bell. Look forward to checking you on out tomorrow night. Look forward to seeing you. Have a good night, everybody. Much love. Sleep well. Good night.
healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.